Part 1. States of Consciousness. All souls, Atmas, were, are, and will be in the Oversoul, Paramatma. Souls, Atmas, are all one. All souls are infinite and eternal. They are formless. All souls are one. There is no difference in souls or in their being and existence as souls. There is a difference in the consciousness of souls. There's a difference in the planes of consciousness of souls. There's a difference in the experience of souls. And thus, there is a difference in the state of souls. Most souls are conscious of the gross body, Sthul Sharir. Some souls are conscious of the subtle body, Pran. A few souls are conscious of the mental body, mind or mana. And a very few souls are conscious of self. Most souls have experience of the gross sphere, world. Some souls have experience of the subtle sphere, world. A few souls have experience of the mental sphere, world. And a very few souls have experience of the Oversoul. Most souls are on the gross plane, Ana Bhumika. Some souls are on the subtle plane, Pran Bhumika. A few souls are on the mental plane, Mano Bhumika. And a few souls are on the plane beyond the mental plane, Vijnan. Most souls have great binding. Some souls have little binding. A few souls have very little binding. And a very few souls have absolutely no binding. All these souls, Atmas of different consciousness, of different experiences, of different states, are in the Oversoul, Paramatma. If now all souls are in the Oversoul and are all one, then why is there a difference in the consciousness, in the planes, in the experiences, and in the states? The cause of this difference is that the souls have different and diverse impressions, samskaras. Most souls have gross impressions. Some souls have subtle impressions. A few souls have mental impressions. And a very few souls have no impressions at all. Souls having gross impressions, souls having subtle impressions, souls having mental impressions, and souls having no impressions are all souls in the Oversoul, and all are one. Souls with gross impressions have consciousness of the gross body, Sthul Sharir, and have experience of the gross sphere. Souls with subtle impressions have consciousness of the subtle body, Pran, and have experience of the subtle sphere. Souls with mental impressions have consciousness of the mental body, mana or mind, and have the experience of the mental sphere. Souls with no impressions have consciousness of self, Soul Atma, and have the experience of the Oversoul, Paramatma. Thus, souls with gross impressions experience the gross sphere through the gross body. That is, they experience different and diverse experiences such as seeing, hearing, smelling, eating, sleeping, clearing the bowels, and urinating. All these are experiences of the gross sphere. Souls with subtle impressions experience successively 3 planes of the subtle sphere through the subtle body. And in these 3 planes they have only the experiences of seeing, smelling, and hearing. Souls with mental impressions through the mental body or mind in the mental sphere experience only seeing, and this seeing is the seeing of God. Souls having no impressions, do the self experience the infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss of the Oversoul. The soul that is conscious of the gross body is not conscious of the subtle body, not conscious of the mental body, and not conscious of self. The soul that is conscious of the subtle body is not conscious of the gross body, not conscious of the mental body, and not conscious of self. The soul that is conscious of the mental body is not conscious of the gross body, not conscious of the subtle body, and not conscious of self. The soul that is conscious of self is not conscious of the gross body, not conscious of the subtle body, and not conscious of the mental body. The soul that has experience of the gross world does not have experience of the subtle world, nor experience of the mental world, nor does it have experience of the Oversoul. The soul that has experience of the subtle world does not experience the gross world, nor does it have experience of the mental world, nor does it have experience of the Oversoul. The soul that has experience of the mental world does not experience the gross world, nor does it experience the subtle world, nor does it have experience of the Oversoul. The soul that has experience of the Oversoul does not experience the gross world, nor does it experience the subtle world, nor does it experience the mental world. That is, the soul that is conscious of self and has experience of the Oversoul is not conscious of the gross body, subtle body, and mental body, and does not experience the gross, subtle, and mental spheres, worlds. This means that in order to have consciousness of self and have experience of the Oversoul, the soul must lose consciousness of the gross, subtle, and mental bodies. But as long as the soul is impressioned by either the gross, subtle, or mental impressions, the soul consistently and respectively has consciousness of the gross body, subtle body, or mental body, and the gross, subtle, and mental experiences are persistently and necessarily undergone. The obvious reason for this is that as long as the consciousness of the soul is impressed by gross impressions, there is no way out except to experience these gross impressions through the gross body. Similarly, as long as the consciousness of the soul is impressed by subtle impressions, there is no way out but to experience these subtle impressions through the subtle body. Similarly, as long as the consciousness of the soul is impressed by mental impressions, there is no escape but to experience these mental impressions through the mental body. As impressions of the gross, subtle, and mental vanish or completely disappear, the consciousness of the soul is automatically and obviously directed and focused towards itself, and this soul then necessarily has no alternative but to absorb experience of the Oversoul. Now, gross, subtle, and mental bodies are nothing but the shadows of the soul. The gross, subtle, and mental spheres, worlds, are nothing but the shadows of the Oversoul. Gross, subtle, and mental bodies are finite, have forms, and are changeable and destructible. The gross, subtle, and mental worlds are false. They are zero, imagination, and vacant dreams. The only reality is the Oversoul, Paramatma. Therefore, when the soul with its gross, subtle, and mental bodies experiences the gross, subtle, and mental worlds, the soul actually experiences in reality the shadows of the Oversoul with the help of its own shadows. In other words, the soul with its finite and destructible form experiences falsity, zero, imagination, and a vacant dream. Only when the soul experiences the oversoul with itself does it experience the real with reality. When the soul is conscious of its gross body, then this soul identifies itself with the gross body and takes itself as the gross body. This means that the infinite, eternal, formless soul finds itself as finite, mortal, and having form. Impressions, sanskaras, are the cause of this ignorance. In the beginning, the soul, which is eternally in the oversoul, at first acquires ignorance through impressions rather than acquiring knowledge. When the soul acquires a particular form, body, or sharir, according to particular impressions, it feels and experiences itself as being that particular form. Soul in its stone form experiences itself as stone. Accordingly, in due course, the soul experiences and feels that it is metal, vegetable, worm, fish, bird, animal, man or woman. Whatever be the type of gross form, and whatever be the shape of the form, the soul spontaneously associates itself with that form, figure, and shape, and experiences that it is itself that form, figure, and shape. When the soul is conscious of the subtle body, then this soul experiences that it is the subtle body. When the soul becomes conscious of the mental body, then this soul experiences that it is the mental body. It is only because of impressions, nukush-i amal or sanskaras, that the soul, without form, the infinite soul, experiences that it is veritably a gross body, shtul sharir, or a subtle body, pran, or a mental body, mana, or mind. The soul, while experiencing the gross world through gross forms, associates with and dissociates from innumerable gross forms. The association with and dissociation from gross forms are termed birth and death, respectively. It is only because of impressions that the eternal, immortal soul, existing in reality without births and without deaths, has to experience births and deaths innumerable times. While the soul has to undergo this experience of innumerable births and deaths because of impressions, it has not only to experience the gross world, which is a shadow of the oversoul and which is false, but together with it the soul has also to experience the happiness and misery, virtue and vice of the gross world. It is only because of impressions that the soul, which is beyond and free from happiness and misery, virtue and vice, has necessarily to undergo experiences of misery and happiness, vice and virtue. Now, this much is established, that the experiences of births and deaths, happiness and misery, virtue and vice, are experienced only by the gross form of the soul while experiencing the gross world, but the gross form of the soul is a shadow of the soul, and the gross world is a shadow of the oversoul. Thus, all the experiences of births and deaths, virtue and vice, happiness and misery, experienced by the soul, are nothing but the experiences of the shadow. Hence, all that is thus experienced is false. Paramatma. Atma, in reality, is Paramatma. In order to clarify the relationship of Atma-Paramatma, we compare Paramatma with an infinite ocean, a limitless ocean, and the Atma as a drop in this ocean. The Atma is never out of this limitless ocean, Paramatma. The Atma can never be out of Paramatma because Paramatma is infinite and unlimited. How can the Atma come out of or have a place beyond the limitlessness of the limitless? Therefore, the Atma is in Paramatma. After establishing the primary fact that Atma is in Paramatma, we go a step further and say that Atma is Paramatma. How? For example, let us imagine an unlimited ocean. Let us also imagine that we separate or take out 1 iota of ocean from the limitless expanse of this unlimited ocean. It follows then that this iota of ocean, while in the limitless ocean, before separation is ocean itself, and is not there in the shoreless ocean as an iota of the ocean, because every iota of ocean, when not limited by the limitations of a drop, is unlimited ocean. It is only when an iota of ocean is separated from the unlimited ocean, or is taken out of the unlimited ocean as a drop, that this iota of ocean obtains its separate existence as a drop of the shoreless ocean, and that this iota of ocean begins to be looked upon as a drop of the unlimited ocean. In other words, the infinite, unlimited, and limitless ocean itself is now looked upon as merely a drop of that infinite, unlimited, and limitless ocean. And in comparison to that infinite, unlimited, and limitless ocean, this iota of ocean, or this drop of the iota of ocean, is most finite and most limited, with infinite limitations. That is, the infinitely free iota finds itself infinitely bound. Similarly, the Atma, which we have compared with the drop of the infinite ocean, obtains a seeming separate existence, though in reality it can never be out of the limitlessness of the limitless, infinite Paramatma, which we have compared with the infinite, unlimited, and limitless ocean. But just as the iota of ocean acquires its limitation as a drop through being in the form of a bubble on the surface of the ocean, and the bubble bestows upon the iota of ocean an apparently separative existence from the infinite ocean, likewise, the Atma, which is in Paramatma and is Paramatma, apparently experiences separative existence from the infinite Paramatma through the limitations of the bubble of ignorance with which the Atma shrouds itself. No sooner does the bubble of ignorance burst than the Atma not only finds itself in Paramatma, but experiences itself as Paramatma. Through this limitation formed by the bubble of ignorance, self-created by the Atma apparently inherits a separative existence from Paramatma, and because of this self-created separativeness from infinite Paramatma, the Atma, which is itself infinite, unlimited, and limitless, apparently experiences itself as most finite with infinite limitations.